Can you hear me over there?
We got you. What's happening?
Excellent. Cool. So yeah, there might be a couple more folks joining, but I think we can kind of kick things off. So welcome everybody to today's Twitter Spaces. This is kind of an informal one. Generally, we hold Twitter Spaces every Wednesday, pretty early Pacific Standard Time. But because we're at Cosmoverse, we thought it'd be kind of cool to, invite some folks that are attending Cosmoverse to talk about, some of the projects they're seeing, some of the themes from this year's Cosmoverse, just all the cool stuff that's happening here in Medellin during the event for folks that couldn't come out and attend. So hopefully next year, you guys that are listening in can actually attend it, because my quick feedback is it's been amazing. So by way of quick introduction, my name is Adam Wozney. I head up community at Overclock Labs, the creator of Akash Network. I was actually on a talk earlier today. I can kind of cover that a little bit. But I'm going to introduce our guests. So, and then I want to mention also, for folks listening in that are at Cosmoverse, feel free to make a speaker request. I'd love to get your thoughts on the event itself as well. But in the meantime, let's hand it over to Dan. Feel free to kind of introduce yourself, and we'll go from there.
Hey everyone, I'm Dan Lynch from Cosmology, contributor to Osmosis, Juno, Stargaze, and a bunch of other chains, and working on bringing the interoperability of the front end to the Cosmos.
Welcome. Thanks for joining. Next up, we have Cloudmos. I think most people on this call probably know what Cloudmos is, but definitely a quick little introduction for folks that might not be familiar. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks, Adam. Yeah, my name is Max. I don't know if some of you I've met at Cosmoverse. So basically, we built a bunch of tools to simplify the deployments on Akash, also provide analytics on the network. We built a Block Explorer, a bunch of cool tools to, help the adoption of the Akash network. And in the future, we're probably going to expand to the broader Cosmos ecosystem. So stay tuned for that. And like you said, Adam, such a great event. It's my first time at Cosmoverse, but definitely be there for every other event, because it's so insane just meeting everyone, and the vibe in Medellin is so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as on a personal note, so for folks listening in, like I mentioned, I help manage a lot of the community efforts that Akash is doing, and Cloudmos has been an active contributor inside of the Akash Insiders program, kind of our community ambassador program for a while. And being able to meet you face to face, Max, has been amazing. He's a great dude. So if anyone listening in that's at Cosmoverse, definitely try to find and meet up with Max. He's a really great guy. So thanks for jumping in. Next, we'll introduce Archway. So feel free to take it away.
Hey guys, let me start by apologizing. I happen to find myself right off a highway and a construction site, so sorry about the background noise. But I am Mike. I am with Phi Labs, which is core contributor to the Archway protocol. Archway is a new incentivized smart contract chain for Cosmos. The idea is we're baking developer incentives into the protocol itself, so it's a CosmWasm chain. And for the dApps that are deployed on top of Archway, those that are generating usage and bringing value to the network, they can earn protocol level rewards. So similar to how validators get rewarded in your typical proof of stake chain, in Archway, the dApps are earning rewards and can be monetized in a very similar way. Having a blast at Cosmoverse as well. So.
Absolutely. Thanks for jumping in. I appreciate it. And then I have two more quick guests to introduce. Let's go over to the Real Interchain. I'll use your handle unless you don't mind being doxxed, but I'll let you be the one to introduce yourself. So feel free to take it away, the Real Interchain.
Right on. My name is Ethan Fry. Probably heard me a few times. Big Cosmos OG back in 2017, and creator of CosmWasm. It's been a crazy experience here today, just meeting so many people. Wow, saying here how much Cosmos has grown. Remember meeting people here first Cosmoverse, and it was pretty what Cosmosm was. You got a few people, and now it's everyone just stopped me crazy. So Cosmosm has grown up huge here. It's amazing to see so much of Cosmoverse full of Cosmosm. It's awesome. But yeah, that's where I'm, and I'm also working on another project besides launching Cosmosm, all this tooling, working with Dan and the Cosm.js stuff. Also running a Wind DAO. We just launched this WYND DAO. We launched that yesterday. It's a new advanced DAO project launched in Juno. Check it out too.
Awesome. Congrats on the launch, and thanks for jumping in, Ethan. And then lastly, but not leastly, we have Ali Merchant. Some folks on this call might know who Ali is. He's Overclock Labs' newest hire. He's leading developer relations. And I would love for Ali to maybe quickly introduce himself, and we'll go from there. Oh, looks like we are having connecting issues, so we'll go back to Ali. Actually, I want to make sure. Can you guys all hear me real quick? Let's go CloudMost. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, everything's fine.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't on my end. So once Ali connects, we'll do an intro. But I kind of wanted to kick off our conversation around kind of Cosmoverse, talking about the first Cosmoverse. I sadly was not able to attend it. I heard it was fantastic, so that definitely drew my interest, and I think the rest of the team over here's interest to attend this version of Cosmoverse. And I've been pretty blown away. On my conversation I had earlier on stage with Dimi, co-founder of Juno, I was talking about how I've been in community building for almost a decade now, and I've attended a lot of different events, both Web 2 and Web 3. And I would put this in the top 3 of all crypto conferences I've attended. Just the layout of the space, the people in attendance, the conversations that are taking place, no shilling. It's like a no shill zone. People are just kind of here to learn from each other. I'm a big advocate of what Cosmoverse has put together, so shout out to the Cosmoverse team. But I wanted to get some folks that are on this call here to kind of talk maybe a little bit about the differences they've seen from Cosmoverse 1 to Cosmoverse 2. So maybe we'll start with Max. I'd love to get your thoughts on the differences between 1 and 2, if you attended one, that is.
No, unfortunately, I didn't attend. I attended virtually, so it's so different than being live at the event. But for sure, like you said, I haven't been to that many crypto events, but I feel like now the bar is so high. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then maybe Mike, were you able to attend the first Cosmoverse? I can't remember.
I was actually, yeah. And the first one was phenomenal as well. But the scale is just a whole different level. I recall the first one kind of came together at the last minute. I think the Cosmoverse team pieced it all up in like a month, and they did a bang up job. It was spectacular. And I think it was exciting for the whole community because it was the first time that like all the real Cosmos folks got together in real life. At the time, the ecosystem in the community was much smaller, and so it's just been awesome to see firsthand all that growth. We like feel the excitement and we hear the hype on the interwebs, over the past year, but to see it firsthand this year in Medellin is particularly exciting, and yeah, just the scale and like the opportunity to connect across all of the Cosmos projects and builders, like being able to do a loop around the event venue and link up with any and everybody across the entire ecosystem has just been outstanding. So second that, Adam, yeah. Shout out to the Cosmoverse guys.
Yeah, totally. And so like I mentioned early on, I've attended a handful of crypto events, and I remember, I think it was 2018 ETH Denver, which has a really thriving kind of Ethereum community based in Denver, Colorado. There was just so much buzz around kind of what was going on in Ethereum. And I get that same exact vibe for kind of what's going on within the Cosmos ecosystem here. Like it's palpable, I think is the best word I can describe it. So yeah, I completely agree with you, Mike. Dan, yeah, were you able to attend the first Cosmoverse and maybe the differences you've seen between the two?
So I did not attend the first one, but I've been to some other conferences, and I just have to say, like, the energy is so different in Cosmos because you meet somebody, and like I was literally sitting at a table yesterday, and it was like 4 completely different projects, and literally all of us in some way or another had like contributed or collaborated in code together, and so in other ecosystems and just industries in general, I came from the Web 2 world, but like. It's like you meet these people and like you have like these like competitors that you might meet or you become like frenemies. What's cool about the Cosmos is everyone's like a collaborator, And so just this collaborative energy, everyone's so excited to meet each other and build projects and work together. It's unlike anything I've ever witnessed. And I just feel like we're going to experience a ton of exponential innovation because of the open source that's happening, because we're not in competition, because we're in cooperation and collaboration with all the interoperability that we're creating together. And everyone's just so fun and cool. So yeah, it's awesome. I also say, like, it was so great to just see everyone in person. I'm, really excited, to see Ethan and Simon, because we're doing a lot of stuff on front end with, I could not be more excited to be here. It's just great.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about the kind of the collaboration, and like everyone's, you have frenemies at different events and you just feel that collaboration. Best example I can give you is when I was giving my fireside chat with Dimi earlier on stage. We were just talking about hackathons, and it's something Akash hasn't really done too much of quite yet, but we want to develop a hackathon. He's like, well, why don't we do one with Juno? So now we're already started to talk about potentially doing a Akash Juno hackathon. So stay tuned for that. A little alpha for folks listening in.
Sounds great. Yeah, we should add an Akash integration to the Create Cosmos app with the Juno template. So just one click deploy.
Yeah, absolutely. There's people on this call at Akash that are listening in, and I'm sure I'm going to get some Slack messages saying, "Hey, what was Dan talking about? Let's set that up." So stay tuned. And then finally, let's hand it over to Ethan. Yeah, were you able to attend the first Cosmoverse? And I just wanted to see if you could kind of maybe talk about maybe some of the differences you've seen between the two.
Yeah, I've been to I think every Cosmos conference. So the first time I went was in 2019, and it was actually like family. It was like everyone's pretty much AIB. It's really really tight knit family there. Right after Cosmos launch, and then it was like pandemic. Everything changed, and so when he had this one in Lisbon last year, it was like this reunion tour. Like half of it was people that had been around since like 2019, old school like Cosmos contributors, and then all these other people that you'd only seen online on GitHub, on Zoom calls maybe. So it's like this crazy like meet people you hadn't seen in 2 years because of the pandemic, and then like meet all these new people they've been collaborating with just totally virtually for a while. So it's like this amazing like, wow, we're alive, and it was this super super connection there, and just like wow, this is a community. Um, and it really, I think that really just spawned so many new relationships and so much more. Every time I've been there, so like Prague, Gateway Conference versus Gateway Conference, still a lot of Cosmos folks, and then here, every time it was a deepening. Like now you have these relationships and you're deepening those people. See the same people from that last conference again. You see new people, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like more people coming to the fold, and there's building a social network. So it's really amazing because like okay, now there's like the people you know or know each other get bigger, and then more people add on. They meet everyone else, and then next time they're like the school people, and the next conference they like get included in the old school, and then new people meet them, and so it's like we're just building a social network, building this connection with people that all like kind of know each other. And the great thing is like okay, we're online talking, but like just having a chat with someone and shooting the shit, telling stories about your vacation or like drinking a beer, and then like the next day you're digging the code together and just looking at the debug problem and like it's like awesome to build that connection. And it's really like this basis to like collaborate in a more profound way when you all go home. So it's been really cool to seeing this like constant deepening and growth. At the same time, more and more people come in, it feels like these relationships are getting deeper, not just like more shallow and more dispersed, but like actually like deepening, which is really
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like the people I've met here, almost every conversation I've had with anyone I've met has been meaningful. And I think the hardest part after, sadly, when Cosmoverse is over later today, is going to be remembering exactly who I was talking with, some of their names, what we were talking about. So I need to do a better job, and maybe you guys have some ideas on how to follow up with folks that you've met at these events, because there's so many great opportunities to connect with people here. But cool. So yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about kind of some of the themes you guys have seen at this year's Cosmoverse. So as I mentioned, when I was at ETH Denver, we did kind of one of these kind of live from ETH Denver events with Akash and some folks that were attending. And, a couple of the themes that came out from ETH Denver last February were DAOs, like a lot of conversations around DAOs, and of course NFTs. But I feel like DAOs were really the main central kind of theme throughout all of ETH Denver last year. I wanted to see if you guys had any kind of insights in your conversations and panels you've seen on some of the themes of this year's Cosmoverse. Anything kind of sticking out in your mind? And maybe we'll start it off. Let's go to Ethan first.
Okay, I think DAOs are still a theme here. It's actually pretty cool because DAO does build amazing tooling. We use that tooling, but our own custom DAO. It's really powerful. Maybe it's not so much a theme here, just because people take it for granted now. Like in the last 6 months, it's been amazing how much tooling has come out there, and how easy to launch DAOs now. So when you talk, we just do it now. Like it's super. So I think like it is super esteemed, it's super central to Cosmos, these growth of DAOs. But now they're not like we don't talk, we just build them now. They're like there's like mushrooms. But I think here a big one I've seen, the two big themes I've seen are these like staking derivatives. There's this whole panel of like all the different staking derivative platforms out here, but really interchain composability. So I think all of that is interchain composability. Staking derivatives are usually like one chain controlling staking derivatives on another chain, right? So it's all interchain composability. And then like mesh security from Sunny is like mind blowing. A next level interchain. Like, I was like, oh, we're trying to build this, I'll do interchain security v3, like the mesh security idea. These are mind-blowing ideas out there. They're all about how to deepen the connections, how to build more interchain protocols that go beyond token transfers, and really like how to network these chains in these large economic constructs that support each other. And again, it's about collaboration, not just competition. So I think it's really, really awesome. And I'd say that's it's interchain collaboration.
Yeah, I like you brought up Sunny's talk on mesh security. For those that are listening in that weren't able to watch it live, I believe all this stuff is being recorded. It should be on, I believe, CryptoCito's YouTube. But Sunny's mesh security talk was fantastic, and he was wearing an amazing kind of medieval mesh outfit, so it just kind of made sense. Super tight. Cool. So let's move over to Dan. Yeah, I want to see if you kind of picked up any themes, like you talked about, like Ethan was talking about composability and mesh security. Any other kind of themes you noticed?
Actually, I mean, the mesh security was really like the mind-blowing one. So, Ethan kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. Other than that, it's just been really great to, dig into technology with everyone. I think it seems that like, even 6 months ago, there was a lot less tooling than there is today. So just meeting developers and finding out how much like all the tooling that exists, just literally we built some of this in the just last couple of weeks or even couple of days. So it's amazing to see the progress we're making. And, the theme might be more like not an official like talk or anything, but just meeting with everyone and finding out like all the innovation that's happening. It's just super exciting.
Yeah, completely agree. Cool. And I have one more maybe question before I hand it over to Cosmos and or Max on some of the themes you've maybe noticed at this year's Cosmoverse. But for folks listening in, if you guys do have any questions about kind of what people have seen here at this year's Cosmoverse, or any just questions about even the projects that our guests are kind of working on, feel free to make a speaker request. And then after I get my final question in here, I'll include you in the conversation and we'll go from there. So yeah, Max, kind of tossing it over to you around some of the themes. Was there anything that kind of stuck out to you in the conversations you've had or the presentations you've seen around themes at this year's Cosmoverse, kind of what people can look forward to within the Cosmos ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. I think you guys nailed it. Like the real interchain. I don't remember your name, but you nailed it. Like everything you said resonates with what I experienced. And I also like the talk, the Sunny talk about the mesh security, interchain security, all that stuff. I think I'm super hyped about that. And I guess the team that struck out the most to me was just the fact that everyone was so like open to collaboration, and just there's every person I met, like we connected through either Telegram or Twitter or whatever, and everyone was like open to collaborate. So I think that really resonates the most with me, the collaboration mindset of the ecosystem. I think it's so awesome. And Dan, is it you that you released like recently a tool to scaffold like a DApp with all the React hooks and all that stuff? I think so,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we
That's
just
so
launched.
nice.
Yeah, we just launched Create Cosmos app, and what it does is it basically one command creates a modern Cosmos app, has React, Next.js, but also a wallet connector with a UI modal for connecting to Kepler and Kepler Mobile, and provides all these nice React hooks for getting signers, and also it integrates well with Telescope and TS Cogen, so you can sign and broadcast Cosmosm messages or custom SDK messages. But the whole vision is just to remove all the repetitive boilerplate and allow developers to just build quickly exactly what their idea is without having to get distracted by all the repetitive, mundane boilerplate.
Nice. Yeah, so nice. Props to you for doing that. Like we built our before you launched that, we built like all of our custom hooks in React to sign transaction and all that stuff. But like now we just might as well use what you guys built or what you built. So might transition with that.
It was a big collaboration with Chain Apsis, DAO, Cosmology, Osmosis Labs. So yeah, Cosmos Kid and Create Cosmos app. A lot of great contributors, and couldn't have done it alone. So yeah, I'm happy to keep shipping and iterating on that.
Nice.
Cool. And where can
just one last thing, Dan? Were we in a taxi at the Uber at the end of the Osmosis party? When we came back, I think we were in the same.
Yeah, that was an awesome party.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm gonna kind of flip the script here. I wasn't planning on asking this question, but you were just talking about the Osmosis party. And for folks that have attended crypto events before, the side events are where a lot of like great networking and like really fun activities happen. And I don't know, within the ETH space, there's a couple events that are always kind of well known. One is called Brave, put on by Aave Labs. Another is Divinity, put on by the MakerDAO team. I would say Osmosis is probably the closest thing to what we have on, or what's built out on the Ethereum side in terms of these kind of fun after parties that people are really trying to get into. Were there any after parties that really stuck out in your guys' heads? Like, wow, a lot of great networking activity have it there. I had a lot of fun, great DJs. Any particular projects that kind of stood out to you guys in after events that you were participating in? And we can just open up to anybody. Maybe we'll start with Mike.
Yeah, well, I think the Osmosis party tops the list. Most folks would agree with that, as far as I can tell. But Archway had a couple events. One that was particularly fun for me was a validator workshop that we ran yesterday. We partnered up with Validator Commons, pulled out lots of the top folks from across the Cosmos ecosystem, and they had some breakout sessions and workshops, kind of digging into some of the trickier topics du jour in the validator universe at the moment. And it happened to be on a really lovely rooftop in the middle of Medellin with sensational views of the city and the mountains. So yeah, those come to mind.
Cool. And Max, yeah, any particular side events out that kind of happen around Cosmoverse that you're really happy with?
Yeah, like you said, Osmosis party was really on top of the list. Last night, Archway's party at the NV rooftop was amazing as well. Just meeting everyone there, yeah.
Right on. Dan and Ethan, what about you guys? Any side events that you're really happy with, kind of how it all went down?
Yeah, I showed up late actually. I missed Monday, so I missed the Osmosis party. I felt a little bad. Next morning, I was telling you how amazing it was. Yeah, but actually, I don't know. I think my favorite event was actually just dinner last night. A nice big dinner. A bunch of people from a bunch of companies there. Met a bunch of Delphi people, Objective, number of other people there, and it was cool just meeting a bunch of people I'm not normally talking to. And so I think there's a lot of nice spaces here.
Cool. What about you, Dan? Anything that kind of stuck out in your mind on side events around Cosmoverse?
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely the Osmosis, Mars, and Loop parties were fun. But similar to Ethan, I think like you just kind of like bump into people, and like yesterday I just bumped into Simon, and we're kind of collaborating a lot on Cosmos.js together in Telescope, and it's just like we literally got to like have lunch together and just like bust our laptops out and hang out for an hour. And then like last night, the Loop party, it's like me, Ethan, and Simon. We're all just like hanging out in the same space. So great side events and moments like that just make Cosmoverse amazing and unforgettable.
Yeah, totally. So before my kind of final question to kind of wrap things up, wanted to make it another request for anyone listening in. If you have questions about our guests' projects or anything around kind of Cosmoverse, feel free to make a speaker request and I'll get you involved. Otherwise, this might be my final question for you guys. So Cosmoverse ends today. It's very sad, but I'm already starting to think about 2024 Cosmoverse. is there anything that you're hoping the organizers kind of put together in terms of like, it'd be great to hold an event around this. It would be great to bring on someone on stage to talk about that. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is I think adding kind of a hackathon element to Cosmoverse could be pretty cool. I think there is one that's happening once Cosmoverse is over in Medellin, but I think even doing one during the event could be interesting. So that'd be something I would be interested in seeing. But is there anything that you would like to see for 2024 Cosmoverse that you think would be really interesting to kind of include? When we'll throw it over, maybe we'll start with Dan.
So, yeah, I think it would be great to see some talks about front end development. I mean, I love the Cosmos interoperability. I think IBC is like truly amazing. And, we're starting to see the interoperability of the Cosmos SDK coming to the front end, but no one's really talking about it yet. So, and I'd love to help with that. I think it's super important. It's the first place that end users, work and touch and feel their screens to interoperate with the blockchain. So, the user interface, the front end, the client, it's just in many ways equally important as the back end. And, seeing more awareness and conversations and, discussions about how that impacts mass adoption.
Yeah, so if anyone from the organizing folks from Cosmoverse is listening, and Dan is down for some front end talk, so hit up Dan. Let's pass it over to Max. Any kind of thoughts on what you'd like to see at Cosmoverse 2024?
Yeah, sure. I agree with Dan. Like, I'm a big front end guy as well, and I'd be glad to collaborate on any like hackathon related to front end development, like spawning a dApp and just build something in one day or something like that. I agree. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, super into that idea. Mike, what about you? Any thoughts on what you'd like to see at 2024 Cosmoverse?
Yeah, I'm with you on the hackathon, Adam, but it'd be cool to maybe focus something a little more on the educational side of things and help onboard fresh faces. I think just, this year there's been a ton of fresh faces that we've seen. Next year, inevitably, with all the growth that we can expect, there'll be many more, and there's a ton happening across education at Cosmoverse Academy. Sorry for the background noise. Cosmoverse Academy, I know, just kicked off a day or two ago, which is a huge deal. Misong is on the space. I can see. I know she's been doing a ton there, and thinking about ways to sort of couple the those cohorts and those programs alongside major events. And what better event than Cosmoverse? We just launched a tool that's kind of like a self-paced, fun game to learn Cosmoverse. I know Dan has done tons of amazing educational content with cosmology, so it feels like there's an opportunity to help onboard folks from scratch with some more like educational focused sessions.
Yeah, I was able to speak with Misang last night, and she was telling me about Cosmoverse Academy. I'm a big proponent. I think what they're doing over there is really, really cool, and we're trying to mimic something similar to Kosh around kind of education. But yeah, I agree with you completely, Mike. I think additional educational kind of elements could be useful. And then finally, Ethan, yeah, any thoughts on what you'd like to see from 2024 Cosmoverse?
First of all, thanks for the shout out to Cosmoverse Academy. It's amazing project. Yeah, I'm glad to see so much uptake on it. It'll just get better and better. So we're looking to collaborate with all the other academies and link them at least to work together and make other stuff. So like the Area 52 stuff, March Away was awesome. I'm happy to recommend that to people to check out as well. So yeah, I mean, what do I want to see more of next time? I think there's so much stuff going on. I think just more days so you can actually enjoy it all. Like I feel like being here, I'm like, it's just too short because you're like so packed and you're trying to meet people. Like, oh, I didn't even see you, but like I don't have time to talk to the people you talk to. So I mean, like we had 2 days the first Cosmo first and 3 days this time. So I mean, at least 4 or 5 days next time.
That would be wild.
What the hell? So I mean, really that's what I wanted more of. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I guess the other things is a hackathon. I'm glad there's a hackathon afterwards. At the same time, it's too much. There's no time. You can't even focus on hackathon. Right? So I think also the hackathon afterwards is great. Like do a custom version and have the hackathon. Wonderful idea. There are workshops going on. There's these other workshop rooms doing some workshops. In the meantime, educational workshops actually during this. The two things I think again is these the front end workshops is like I think again is a great thing to have them more, but networking incubating. So there are all these new projects coming here. They are the first time I've seen them, right? They may have just done the raise, they have a little bit of money, they're like early stage projects, and all these people that want to launch projects. I've talked to a number of people like Croncat out there looking for funding, looking to launch out. It's a really cool project. It's like a tooling project, right? The number of people I've talked to, like Window is coming out here, which is another little just launching. A bunch of other people talking have their projects launching. They're in designs phase. They're just pre-launch seed stuff, and there's no real space for them, right? So the big projects that have been established and they've been around for a year on the stage. Now the little ones need exposure. So I think having some networking around, having some like kind of like stage, having these like round table stuff for people to like kind of meet, network, figure out how to collaborate between like different small projects, builders, VCs, experienced people that want to help them out. Because the advice stuff, just getting that out there, and have a little more organized place for people like that. I mean, so many people they're just like, oh, we're launching a new chain, talk to you, and that's awesome, right? That's awesome, but like, yeah, it doesn't scale so much. So it'd be cool to have a little more focused. I think I'd really just like ask.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's hard in the time frame we're given to kind of meet and connect with everybody you want to. Like, there's people I was like, oh, I'll see you at Cosmoverse, and you just see them in passing because everyone's running to the next thing. It's exciting, but yeah, it's a good problem to have, I guess you could say. Cool.
I mean, let's all hang out on Thursday. What the hell? Thursdays all hang out anyway. Hang out together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a handful of people are kind of sticking around. So I'm guessing Thursday will be a fun day for folks to kind of go and explore the city, which is also like a benefit of being able to attend these Cosmoverses. Like the first one was in Lisbon. This one's in Medellin. Who knows where it'll be next year? I'm looking forward to finding that out, but I'm totally down for that. So wanted to open up for any questions from the audience. If you do have a question, now is the time to make a speaker request. And if nobody does, we will wrap things up and let folks get back to Cosmoverse or their day-to-day. So any questions from the audience before we wrap things up? Looks like we're good. I think we all did it. Oh, we got one request. Here we go. Let me add Gogo Diego Crypto. I just added you as a speaker. Feel free to introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hello. I am Gogo Diego, and I'm not in Cosmoverse. I'm currently just at home in Texas. I just want to say that I love the idea of Cosmos and, these money Legos and build your own blockchain. I just want to say, Dan, you're doing great work on cosmology, and I'm really excited for just the new wave of front-end development. So if you can check your Telegram, I have something cool to show you. But besides that, yeah, good work, guys. Good work.
Much appreciated. We'd love to chat more about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for jumping in. We'll see you at next year's Cosmoverse. Go Diego. Cool. All right. Any other final questions from our audience? All right. So I think we'll wrap things up. Thank you all for attending this. This is kind of a one-off Twitter Spaces event. We wanted to